from SEC Media Days in the hometown of Ian Fitzsimmons from ESPN Radio and I guess technically the SEC Network to some degree in there as well. Good to see you, man.
You too, bud. Where'd you go to dinner last night?
Micocina?
Cocina. Yeah. Did you get a Mambo taxi?
I did not.
Good for you. Good decision.
Should I have?
This morning might have hurt a little bit.
I had an earlier start than normal this morning. It was just the normal margarita, a couple of those.
I know you want to go to Javier's, but to me, Javier's went down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I need you to go test it out for me to see if it's back up. So there you go.
Okay. That is my assignment.
People back in Mississippi really care about dining in Dallas, Texas.
Well, I mean, maybe people looking for some food, Rex. I got a few before we came. Bob's was one of the ones that I got.
Good spot.
But I need to go to Old School Bob's?
Bob's on Lemon is the original.
Bob's on Lemon.
I told you the backstory about Bob's and then the Omni. I don't know if I can share that on air. Probably won't be. As a matter of fact, I sent
you might
myself
not want
there.
to.
Yeah, I know. Bob's Steakhouse Bob would not be very happy with us sharing that story as to how Bob's ended up in Bob, the owner of the Omni, and all the Omnis. But Bob's is a
but both
awesome.
Bob's are still around?
As far as I know.
Okay.
It's little things.
Assuming they've made good life choices, I'm sure they're still around.
I think if you own Omni Hotels, you've done all right for a guy named Bob.
I have said on our show a number of times, and Brian Haydad, who's a Mississippi State guy, has told me, he's like, well, of course you are. But I've said, I am more excited for this college football season than I have been in a really long time. He thinks it's because Ole Miss is going to have a great year. In part, I think that factors into it. But I'm super jazzed up about this whole 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I'm with you and you and I talked about this last year, where in the 4-team, and I hated it from the beginning. I always said 8 to 12 because when you only have 4, by November 1st, how many fan bases are out of it?
Yeah.
And now you have no shot at playing for a natty, whether if it's USC or in Oregon or in Ohio State. I'm just going traditional powers that are supposed to be in the hunt.
Right.
Bama, Georgia. And you aren't. You've had that second loss in October, maybe to a rival. And now it's like, oh, well, we can't go to the playoff. Hell with it. Let's go fishing. And now with 12, there are going to be multiple 2-loss teams.
Yes.
That get in, and now you're keeping the popularity and the passion and the obsession of college football with so many fan bases. They're going to be more in tune and still attached to it because their team still has a shot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I felt like one of the arguments against this was like, well, you're going to take away the significance of some games in November and some conference championship games. I will agree. Yes, there are a handful of games that are going to have less significance because they're not about getting in. They're about, okay, do you get a bye or are you playing in the first round? But the other side of that coin is, but you add significance to like 60 more games over the final month of the season.
That I agree with.
And we raise the stakes for everybody.
And think about it. When you're getting into mid-November, right, rivalry weekends on the horizon.
Yeah.
It's not just the top 12 teams that have a shot. It's really more like the top 18 teams. So, again, you have that many more fan bases, that many more just, obsessed fans are still invested in their team because you still have a chance.
16 teams in the SEC now. Have you done a game in every stadium in the Southeastern Conference?
Missouri.
Have not.
Have not in Missouri.
Okay.
My brother coached at Vandy. I don't know if that counts, but I've never called a game at Vandy.
Yeah, but you've been in there on game.
Oh, yeah.
And Vandy wouldn't be the answer to this question anyway. No disrespect intended, but it's not going to be the answer to the question.
Clark Lee were good on the drive-by, but go ahead.
Love Clark Lee. Super guy. Had a blast.
Don't want to get in a fight with the man. Right?
No, not at all. Favorite place to be, not named Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, for a game? To be on the sidelines during a big game.
I'm partial to obviously to Oxford because of Johnny D. John Dessler.
That's right.
Man, went to high school with him.
I knew the Dessler shout-out was coming at some point.
One of my best friends in the world. I mean, Johnny D, hugs and kisses. The library is the best bar on any college campus. Even better than mine, and Innisfree. I used to own Innisfree Irish Pub with Trip Rogers. The library could swallow my bar. I mean, and spit it out. Just
there's a lot of space in there.
Yeah. So, and look, I've done a lot of games, at Ole Miss, and I love it. But having said all of that in the disclaimer, right, getting that
that
out
is
there,
not the answer that Ian is going with.
I mean, look, man, Bryant Denny for a big game is phenomenal.
You were there in 2015 for that Ole Miss Alabama game, weren't you?
I was, yep. And, went back to Athens last year for Ole Miss. Not a good night for the Rebels.
I don't remember that one.
I didn't think you would. But Between the Hedges is also spectacular. The only part about Athens is you got to stay like half an hour, 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
But since you took Tiger Stadium out of the equation,
I'm assuming that would have been the answer.
Yeah,
right?
100% every time.
Yeah,
that is one of my and all the NFL games I've called. From Lambeau to I still call it Heinz Field. You name it. When the Saints are good, then the dome is rocking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's phenomenal. But you give me Tiger Stadium in a top 20 match, top 25 matchup at night. That's it. That's holy ground of the Highlander.
Yeah. No, I can't disagree with that at all.
By the way, your squad this year. So, Jim Nagy, Senior Bowl Director. I don't know how many damn Super Bowl rings he's got. What, 4, 5? I know he's got 4.
He had a good run.
Yeah, the only 2 he lost. They played in Giants when he was with the Patriots.
Yeah.
The bubblegum catch,
yeah.
right? And then
David Tyree.
Yep, and then 4th and inches, Seattle when he was with the Seahawks.
Oh wow!
Those are he's been in 6 Super. He's got 4 rings, 6 Super Bowls. Those are his only 2 losses. He should be 6-0.
How's that for a run?
I mean, that's a hell of a run. Anyway, my point of bringing
tips to him for working at this point in his life.
Right?
He probably doesn't have to.
He's a junkie. He's a lifer. You know that.
That's right.
But Nagy told me that I asked him last year. He told me Michigan was the most talented team with NFL talent.
Okay.
And they had 15 players drafted. 8 more are in NFL camps. So you have 8 UDFAs.
Guys trying to make a squad. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's more than the 22 starters you have on the field.
Right.
He said this year, Ole Miss is this year's Michigan. They have the most draftable grades of any school out there.
Wow.
Ole Miss is number 1. 23 players at Ole Miss have draftable grades by Jim Nagy.
And some of those guys, to your point, will not be starters.
Let that sink in, man. So to me, Ole Miss this year is going to I hope I get assigned a game in Oxford because I have to work the NFL draft. So selfishly, I'd love to see these guys in person. But so after I talked to Nagy yesterday, I called one NFL GM, and he has a unique system. He has every school, their draftable players, right, by school. So he knows where to go fish for the most fish, right? I mean, like he's going to send his scouts to – you're not going to go see Vandy because he might have 2 guys, right? So
Clark Lee drive-by ×2.
Dang, why did I do that? That guy's got muscles in his toenails still. But anyway, so you look at Ole Miss and that much talent, forget college football playoff. Yeah. To me, they need to survive in advance in the college football playoff when you've got that much talent. Because this one NFL GM told me that he agreed with Nagy that they have the most draftable players of not just in the SEC, but of any team in college football. That's crazy.
It really is. Couple of minutes left. One of the things I love about you is you got a bunch of relationships with assistant coaches. And I think that's valuable.
Those are the guys.
That you build those. A lot of those guys end up being head coaches. One of them now resides in Starkville. Jeff Levy, Mississippi State.
Yep.
Right away, takes a little time, not sure.
And talking about draftable players?
No, just in terms of overall.
What I'm saying is ain't a lot of draftable players right now in Mississippi State.
Right.
Handful. It's going to take a couple years. But he's a brilliant offensive mind and will cut your heart out with a spoon and then smile and say thank you to win a game. I mean, the dude is just he's a born natural football coach. And I thought it was a hell of a hire.
Interesting decision that he made to hire Coleman Hutzler as his defensive coordinator. Never coordinated a defense before. He's been a special teams coordinator, but he's worked under some good ones and Cole and I did their spring game. And
what'd you think? I haven't seen him, obviously. So your impression?
Offensively, Shapen can spin it. Really throw it. Pushed it down the field better than I thought he was going to.
I had Shapen Big 12 title game when he started the game 18 for 18.
Yeah.
So the talent, to your point, is there.
I'm going to be interested to see how much they cut him loose and let him make some plays with his feet, because I think there's more talent there than people realize. Kelly Akari, the transfer wide receiver, like him a lot. And then they got some young receivers. I think offensively they're going to be able to do a little bit if the offensive line stays healthy. Defensively, maybe a tough year. So we'll see.
It's one of those where you're asking a fan base to be patient. And that doesn't happen in college football, especially in this conference.
Ian Fitzsimmons joining us at SEC Media Days in Dallas. Thanks as always for the time.
We'll have a Mambo taxi.
You should do that.